Remember the Lenovo Yoga Book? It was a concept convertible device with a tablet or screen on one side and not a keyboard on the other. It had a touch-sensitive panel on it instead, which had outlines of keys for what Lenovo called a halo keyboard that mimicked a real one. You could also use this pad as sort of a notepad for writing on paper and writing with a stylus on. It was kind of like a Wacom digitizer. But the experience was really janky. The keyboard never felt very comfortable or accurate. And so despite the novel idea, the overall execution was lacking. And so the Yoga Book faded into disaster land. In spite of that, we were impressed by Lenovo's attempt to innovate, and so I am glad to see the company take another stab at it. This year, it's pushing out the Lenovo Yoga Book C930, the second generation of the Yoga Book, and instead of having a digitizer touch-sensitive panel where the keyboard should be, this time around it's going for an e-ink screen. And from an early unit, I already am much more impressed by this version than last year's model. So first of all, let's talk about what this e-ink screen can do. It can display a fake virtual keyboard with buttons that have shadows under them that animate a depression when you press down on them, and again, like before, vibrate in response so you get a similar to real-world typing experience. This felt slightly more comfortable than the Halo keyboard on the older generation, but I'm still not 100% sure I'm going to get a lot of work done on this. But the e-ink experience here does enable other features. For example, you can draw on this black and white screen and have your notes converted into text that you can then copy and paste over to the other screen. The third mode that this enables is an e-reader experience, which you can still use even when the main display is turned off. You can use this to read books or articles without worrying about the battery life that you normally see on a regular color display. And on this screen, you can do things like pinch to zoom or swipe to turn a page. And it was relatively responsive during my brief time with an early unit. The limitation here so far that I've noticed is that it only works with PDF files at the moment. Lenovo would do well to obviously embed support for MOBI or EPUB files so that you can read more books in more formats. Lenovo would do well to incorporate or integrate EPUB or MOBI compatibility so you can read a wider variety of ebooks. On this writing mode, you can use Lenovo's pen to, hey, draw up your most recent caricature or take notes during a lecture. The pen felt rather responsive and smooth during my time with it, and the ink didn't take too long to show up on the screen, which is nice because you want it to feel more natural. Obviously, battery life for any type of dual screen device is going to be a huge concern, and Lenovo says this device can run up to 8.6 hours. This is just an estimate for now. We obviously have to get it in our own hands to do some testing before we can guarantee that ourselves. But hey, 8 hours is not bad. That's a transatlantic flight. Speaking of transatlantic flights, if you want to watch movies on the go, this is going to be a decent companion. It's got a 10-inch Quad HD LCD display, which will be good enough for YouTube videos on the go. Right now, the Yoga Book runs Windows 10, but you never know. Just like the older generation, it might eventually come out in Android and Chrome OS versions as well. Powering that Windows experience are 7th generation Intel Core processors, which is a little bit old, but should be powerful enough for this device. And you'll also find a USB-C port here for charging. While I am cautious about getting too excited for the new Yoga Book this time around, I am, however, still impressed by how thin and light this thing is. It's two things in one, but it manages to still be a dainty enough size to fit in my tiniest of purses. The biggest downside so far that I can tell is the price. At $1,000, the YogaBook second generation is crazy expensive, even if it is 2 screens in one. Plus, we already know that a third generation is on its way because Lenovo already teased that at Computex. And that third generation device might even be more interesting. It might be a fully dual screen device like Asus unveiled with its Project Precog device. At IFA, where Lenovo is making its YogaBook second generation announcement, the company also launched a bunch more new yoga laptops alongside a bunch of new ThinkPads. Lenovo is really trying to consolidate its yoga line and brand it as its most high-end series out of its portfolio. So instead of making the yoga line all about convertibles, you'll now find a yoga convertible, but also a clamshell, also a Chromebook. This way, when you think yoga, you're supposed to just think premium instead of 2-in-1 with a 360-degree hinge.